few seconds here until the algorithm catches up with me, folks. Okay, let's tilt that up just a just a tad. How does that look? Not cutting off the top of my head and all of that stuff. All right, everything looks pretty even there. Hey, everybody, welcome to the bottom line, aka the Tribal Forum, when I choose to stream. And I say choose to stream because besides tonight, I haven't chosen an exact second day yet of the week that I want to stream. Okay, so keep that in mind. The whole stream is growing with each and every stream. We are on Tribal Forum number 27 tonight. Can you believe it? It seems just like yesterday that I decided. Matter of fact, Kimberly and I were having a discussion, and I've kind of been mulling it in my over my head about streaming for months, but uh, about 3 days before, I kept going, and I kept looking and doing testing kind of thingies. And I told her I was going to do it, and she went, "What? Huh? Okay." And she's been here from the beginning. Kimberly, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you helping me out. She puts up with a lot with my personality as I'm getting ready because there are so many elements to putting this thing together that I want to make sure that everything is kind of copacetic. And I'm the kind of guy that goes, you know, there's a fire in the barn. Nick, Heath, Jared type of guy. And she's real good about keeping me kind of on an even keel, or she does as good a job as anybody I've ever known. Anyway, thanks so much, darling, for all your help tonight. And a big happy birthday to Ben Scheidecker. And I saw that Ben upgraded his membership and as a matter of fact, I'm going to conduct a little bit of channel business right here. I'm going to give everybody a chance to get in, and then we're going to go full bore on tonight's subject, which is the whole thing is the ringers of rock and what has occurred because of the ringers of rock. And what is a ringer? Well, we'll get into that momentarily, but I guarantee you a good time is there for all on tonight's stream. Okay, so first of all, since Ben had updated his membership, I do always start off each stream by giving a shout out to those who have given us super thanks on the last stream.
Ben just sent 10 the bottom line gift memberships, hon.
Oh, wonderful. Oh, thank you so much, Ben. I'm off screen right now, so I'm glad that. See, this is why Kimberly does the producing because I've got to go off stream and grab my notes, and I'm back and forth, brother. So thank you. And everybody, I kind of figured out how that's done. It should pop up in the comments there. And each and every one of you can take advantage of that membership. Okay. I'll give you some enticement. Thank you so much, Ben. And we're going to be mentioning you here a couple of times in the next few minutes, and then we're going to get right to it. But if you get a chance, I would suggest you take advantage of that gift membership. Especially, I'm on part 4 right now of the different formats that you can choose to listen to music. And I listen to music on all formats available, really. And as a matter of fact, I just saw a special report that cassette tapes are making a comeback right now. And that's something that I still have today, but basically cassette tapes of me doing my demos and things like that. But I still have some cassette tapes from the day. I just haven't let them go. But I'll listen to anything. And back in the 80s, the cassette tapes, especially once they got coated and they were metal and they were specially coated, they actually produced very high quality music for those of us on the run. And it was great to make mixtapes in those days, and yeah, all of us did it, right? So more on that and this part 4 of 5. And by the way, I'll have part 5 coming out for those who take advantage of that membership. But part 4, I just released what in the wee hours of today. I think it was around 1 or 2 in the morning by the time I got it all, kind of published and everything for a members only video. And it's damn near a half hour long. And I really go through, I think we're up to P's on that. And of course, if you take that membership, you can see parts 1 through 3. And within days, I'll have the final part of that and an announcement on what my next series will be, which is my promise to have at least one video a week out for my channel members. So wonderful. Now, as far as the super thanks from last week, and I'm not going to mention the amount, all of you got your shout outs in my last video. My video about how Foreigner has, and we're going to talk about them, has wound up with 4 singers, sorry, to tour half the world. All right. And all of your shout outs are in there, but I always give you a shout out as people are filtering in from the last time. All right. So Storm Cop, Ben Scheidecker, speak of the devil, and a birthday boy he was. Michael Boswell twice sent super thanks last week. Deuces Wild, Richard Mueller, Helene Spalding. It's almost like I was reading that mistake of her shout outs. It was coming off as Helen, right? But she gave us a super thanks. Rockin' Robin Bird, Just the Facts Man, Dan the Man, thank you so much. And Tacitus Jones, and at the last minute, a wonderful, nice super thanks from Bill Hawkins. A big thank you to each and every one of you. Now, a lot of those people are also channel members, and roll call for the channel members right now are Kimberly Noland, Storm Cop, Sean McCall, and Brian Bingham, and now Ben Scheidecker are all tribal chieftains. Tribal elders are Sue Haller, Tony Gattos, Donald Hall, Professor Donald Hall, Brian the Queeber Griss, John Foster, Just the Facts Man, Divining Dragon, how you doing, Christian? Eric Demery, Cynthia, Royce in the house, Royce Eddings. Thank you, brother. And I'll be on his wonderful stream. I saw that, and I'm going to get to that in just a minute. Who's that from? Bill Hawkins again with a home run again. Bill, thank you. I'll get to your comment in just a minute. Uh, but I will be on Royce's channel tonight. We're going to be talking about Steppenwolf, baby. All right. And exciting times, right? Oh, and in that video, that members only video, I mentioned Royce about 6 or 7 times. Why? You guys are going to have to watch that video. Grab those memberships, people. And thank you once again, Ben. All right. Where were we? Cynthia, Royce in the house, Richard Mueller, uh, Rockin' Robin Bird, Andrew Blackheart, Kathy Sandrew, Dan DeLynch, who rejoined. And by the way, Dan, I was glad to see you got your old ranking back. You see, they do that um, due on how long you've been a membership. If you pull a membership out and then you rejoin, you get your old color back. And there is a color code. And so I was glad to see that you retained, your color code ranking, right? Shay, and then our newest member, P401. Welcome to the tribe. And the more that I get this portion of the channel going, you guys are going to have a lot of power and say on what's happening with the channel in general. Okay, so that gets us to the main point tonight. All right. And that's good. In 10 minutes, and I'll go a little over, so you'll get your full hour, folks. All right. I'm glad you guys hung on. We're talking about the ringers of rock here, aren't we? And as a matter of fact, the title of the stream is The Ringers of Rock. And what do I mean by the ringers of rock? Well, right now I have a poll over on my post page. All right. And I started this poll in a timely manner, but we had a familial situation last night, and I didn't get the following polls out until much later. So and I had to crowd them together. I see another super thanks. Ben Scheidegger, thank you. I'm going to get to both your comments here in just a minute, but I wanted to kind of introduce what we're talking about. All right. And just before, because I'm going to wind up reading a comment from one of our viewers. All right. So, anyway, I put out this poll, and the basic question was uh, at this point, let's see, where is number one here? Here we go. And poll part one, it doesn't say part one, it's just the basic question. Of the following bands who tour without their original members, which is the most guilty of not being who they say they claim to be? All right. And I give you four choices in each part. And so far, we have 16 bands, and I'm going to go over that in just a minute. All right. So I want to get back to our super thanks. I always have to take a time out and see what these wonderful people have to say. Bill Hawkins, once again, man, thank you so much. As a matter of fact, we have two super thanks. If we get one more, I'm going to extend this stream until tomorrow night at 5 o'clock. By the way, I was going to announce that. So just one more and I'll do it. If not, it'll go to the middle of the week. You won't lose the stream. But I thought it would be kind of cool to extend this whole conversation when I've got more votes on this poll that I'm running. All right. So anyway, Bill Hawkins says, crap, I lost $25 in here. Anyone seen it? No, not me, Bill. Did you see it, Kimberly? No?
As a matter of fact, I did see it.
You did?
I did.
You did.
It's so
No,
sweet.
you didn't.
Yes.
Yeah.
I saw it for sure.
See, always marry a literal minded woman, Bill. All right, especially when your head is in the
I'll
clouds.
be honest.
I know. All right. Okay. Thank you so much, Bill. I appreciate it. Well, yes, we did see your $25, and we'll take good care of it. I promise you that. Ben Scheidegger, $10. All right. Thank you so much, Ben. Man, let's see. You've gifted, you've upgraded, and on top of that, a $10 super thanks. Wow, wonderful. And again, happy birthday. I really appreciate this channel of yours, Michael. This forum and tribe is very important to hardly anyone in my personal life and age, like rock, like me. Okay, I'm probably misreading that, and do not have any interest in topics of rock. Yeah, there's a whole lot of people who like rock in general, but don't give a damn.
Rock and Robin just gave us super thanks too.
Oh my goodness, I'll get right to you, Rockin' Robin Bird, often one who comes in with a wonderful super thanks. Thank you so much. And I can cover it right now. Thanks for all you do. And thank you. And we are live tomorrow at 5. All right. I'll set up the artwork for it and the general synopsis after I'm done with Royce tonight. And after I've reviewed this stream, and usually I review his stream. So these nights are late for me. But right there, we've secured another 5 o'clock stream for tomorrow night, and we'll extend this. Okay. Very, very good. I appreciate that. That's wonderful. By the way, I checked everybody before coming up, and every single one of you were wrenched. So I could not promote anybody tonight, but it was like, what did I say? I saw that, Kimberly. My goodness gracious. I
These guys are wonderful.
Oh my goodness. Yes, $20. Thank you so much, Deuces Wild. In this immortal word, in the immortal words of the Who, why can't we have eternal life and never die? The spirit of rock will never die, and we will keep the flame alive forever. That's a really powerful statement. Deuce, and I'll tell you why. I think that the need to keep it alive might be figuring into what we're talking about tonight, right? And what is the spirit of rock? You know, what is the identity of rock? And what is the identity of a rock artist? And when does an artist cease to become the artist they say they are? And when is it time to fold it up and make room for new blood? Because keep in mind, all the bands we're going to be covering tonight are either currently touring or have recently toured. And all of them that we're covering, that as far as I know, have not made any definite announcements that we're done. That was it. That last one, baby. That was it, right? So all of these bands, whether they are currently touring or not, are all bands who are touring the circuit that new blood would just love to get in. So, and is the spirit of rock better enhanced by less remembrance and more embracing of what is new? I don't have the answer to that because I'm telling you, a lot of these artists that we're covering tonight are making top dollar, and those who aren't making top dollar are still making a freaking living, being what many people say they are absolutely not. All right. So, first of all, let's get back to this um, poll of mine, and I'm going to go ahead and read the results for part one. Already 1,600 of you have voted just on this portion of the poll. Now, the rest of the poll, we got 500 on part two, 200 on part three, and almost 200 on part four. And the reason that they have less is, well, first of all, they've been there for less time, and also me releasing them so close together kind of can interfere with what the algorithm will spit out to you. Maybe you'll get part three, but you didn't get part two because of the timing. So if you've watched this or are watching this, you guys are going to have 24 hours to get your votes in over there. All right. And then part two of this stream will be tomorrow night. Okay, so keep all of that in mind. But so far in part one, I gave these possibilities. Which one of these bands is the most guilty of not being who they claim to be? Foreigner, the Eagles, Journey, and AC/DC. Those four bands. So far in the voting, everything's still opening or open to change. Keep that in mind. Foreigner leads the pack, baby. All right. And at 60% so far out of a field of 1,600 plus votes. All right. So well over half of 1,600 voters have voted for Foreigner. Now, I'll give you another reason why you might consider voting for Foreigner. Take a look at my latest video where I talk about Foreigner traveling the Western Hemisphere, but they need four lead singers to do the job. And I kind of go over what might be the reasons for this and everything else. But evidently, a whole lot of you agree with me that Foreigner ain't quite what they appear to be so far, anyway. In second place, the Eagles. Now, the Eagles took an early lead on this for about 2 hours. And all of a sudden, out of the blue, this attack on Foreigner came. And they have gotten 20% of those votes, with 15% of the votes voting for Journey and AC/DC only 4%. And I can understand that because at least they have recent output, a great album. What is that? The red one, Power Cut? Is that it? Power Out, Power Up, Power something, right? Love it. Been listening to it a whole lot. My memory ain't what it used to be, Mildred, you know? But yeah, and they're sounding better. Now, if I had done an AC/DC video a year ago on them based on some of the stuff I had seen. I don't think I would have been as benevolent as I was in my last video when I covered AC/DC and how they sound now, but I was actually quite impressed. So I like the lineup here and how it kind of came to be. Now, part two is Kiss, all right, and Leonard Skinner along with Yes and Blood, Sweat, and Tears. Now, Kiss, again, remember the question is of the following bands who tour without their original members. It doesn't say without any original members, it just says without original members. Kiss does not have two of their original members. I believe that they are one of those bands that are so iconic. And I'm not a major Kiss fan, all right. But I do realize they are freaking iconic. Okay. There's a reason there's a Kiss Army out there. And I like some of their stuff. Okay. But they are an iconic band. And like all iconic bands, like the Beatles, John Paul, George, and Ringo, with Kiss to me, you've got to have Peter, Ace, and the Beast and Star Child. You got to have them, or it's not Kiss to me. So that was and then Leonard Skinner. I just did a video. What was it? When did Gary Rosington pass away? Was that 2023? I did a video the second it came out. Doing a tribute video on him, and I made a couple of videos after that, kind of alluding to the fact that Leonard Skinner was done. There was no way that was going to go. The only person they really have at this point is the original replacement and kid brother of the original lead singer. And without Gary Rosington, that's no longer Leonard Skinner. This should be, you know, uh, little brother remembers Leonard Skinner tour or something like that, right? And then Yes, and Yes is one of those bands. I can see the argument for people voting for Yes being one of those bands that are guilty of not being who they say they're going to be. Yes really only has one uh, key member left. I won't even say original member because Steve Howe wasn't even their original guitarist, but he was there very early, and most fans identify Steve Howe as the guitarist for Yes. He's the guy, I mean, he was there pretty much from the beginning. But he is only one member, and I've criticized Foreigner back in the day. I saw that. I'll have to get to that here. Thank you so much. Who is that from? Michael Boswell. Thank you so much, Michael. I'll get to your thing in just a second. Let me conclude part two, and then we'll carry this on because I can tell. I'm glad that we're going to do a stream tomorrow night because this is the setup, folks. All right, keep that in mind. So I understand the argument against Yes, but at the same time, some of the members have been there over the years when the core members were. So they almost get a free pass. And Yes is also one of those bands famously known not to have a core membership. So I'm a little bit more forgiving for them. And probably wouldn't have been if they hadn't released Mirror to the Sky, which I think is a wonderful album. And it sounds freaking like Yes. That's a Yes album to me. Totally. Even with the new membership, right? Right down to the cover. It's a wonderful album. But and then Blood, Sweat, and Tears was another that you can offer. There nobody left in Blood, Sweat, and Tears, but there they are, right? Well, at number one, Leonard Skinner at 61%. All right. And that doesn't surprise me. But at number two, at 16%, so not quite a whole lot of you, but definitely getting the number two spot is Yes. So I do understand that. In third place is Blood, Sweat, and Tears, and Kiss. Only 11% of you are voting for Kiss being fake. There's a lot of you that are part of that Kiss army. I understand. All right, so let me get over here and handle this one. This super thanks from Michael. I think I got the other ones, didn't I? I think the last one was Rock and Robin, wasn't it? I thought it was. Uh, she's not showing up on there though, but I saw her. Or I'm having a senior moment. Michael Boswell, $5 super thanks. Kiss hasn't fielded the original four for over 2 decades. I'm glad you checked in here, especially at this moment. They have gold records without two of the original members, and I do understand that. All right. I've been on panels over at Royce where this discussion is had, and I'm probably the most negative voice against, Gene and what's his name? Starchild. Why can't I think of his name? Anyway, um, continuing to tour because I see them as that iconic. But you're right, Michael. They do. They have still managed to sell. They have still managed to put out occasionally, not lately, but new material. They've reinvented themselves, uh, both by taking off the makeup and then changing people. Uh, People die, you have to replace the replacement. There are issues that keep the original four apart. There's a lot of nastiness on all four of their parts, as far as I'm concerned. All four of them have kind of let the band down at times, if you ask me. But they are Kiss. And guess what, Michael? Most of the people on my poll agree with you that they are valid, baby, because they are in last place. And this is when you're in last place on this poll, that's a good sign. That means you're less guilty than the other choices. And Kiss was probably the big band on that list, right? Leonard Skinner doesn't draw like Kiss does, not these days, not in the last 10, 15 years. Part three, the choices were Kansas, Little River Band. Been listening to a lot of them today, haven't we, babe?
Yeah.
Humble Pie and Iron Butterfly. All right. So in number one position, easily taking the lead, was Little River Band. And I was just reading some stuff up on them. I never really I when I first they first came out, I heard the song Reminiscing. I went out and bought the album. I didn't need to hear anything else. I was sold. And I bought their first two, three albums, maybe. Night Owl, maybe up to Night Owl, maybe up to Night Owl. How many albums is that in? Uh, so I can't even tell you the names of the albums. Back in the day, I when I was actively collecting them for a while for a tick, I actually loved them. I thought they were a great band, great sense of good songwriting. They lost their two primary songwriters, I believe. All right, so that's the number one position, and number two kind of fighting for number two. They're both at 23%. You guys are going to have to decide. Tied for second place of being the most deceitful band on the planet is Kansas and Humble Pie. And one of you, by the way, in the comments, just typed in no Steve Marriott, no Humble Pie. End of story. Ditto. Duh. Yeah, no. Some bands aren't meant to last. All right. Art can be a fleeting thing. And if it isn't fleeting, art is every time fleeting. I mean, it's bound by the mortality of man, isn't it? I mean, art comes from mankind, and we are not eternals. We'd like to be, but we're not. And in last place is Iron Butterfly. I can't remember the name of the lead singer who just passed away. I did a tribute on him, and he's no longer in the band. The three of them were in and out, out and in, and they kept touring and touring and touring. But nobody out of Iron Butterfly is Iron Butterfly anymore, but they got the pass this time. Uh, More attention. I think it was the Little River Band, right? And then in part four, dig this. It was between Molly Hatchet, the Guess Who, Canned Heat, and the Hollies. Now, the Guess Who, and I've made it quite clear on my channel, are no longer out there touring. I mean, Bert Burton Cummings put an end to that by putting a freeze on performing his material. It hurt him even as much as it hurt the fake Guess Who that was out there, but that stopped them. And now him and Bachman have announced that they're going to tour as the Guess Who next year, right? So this is one of those bands that was stopped in their tracks. Like I said at the beginning of this stream, we'd be talking about bands who are currently touring or until quite recently were currently touring, right? And the Guess Who was that? Canned Heat and the Hollies. All right. So in that field, number one is the Guess Who. And that doesn't surprise me. Over 50%, 54% of you voting for the Guess Who. In second place, and this doesn't surprise me either, at 23%, Molly Hatchet. And we're going to get into specifics on these bands. I've got articles and everything that I'll be talking about tomorrow night. And we're going to talk about where they've been, how they've been doing this. Okay. And I'll have more results on the poll, and we'll conduct it. We'll just conduce everything into a nice package of, you know, Hawaiian punch for you folks. All right. So in first place, the Guess Who, Molly Hatchet. In second place, the Hollies. Not a single member in the Hollies, right? Out there touring at 13%, and Canned Heat, who hasn't had a single member in decades and decades, uh, out there still currently touring with 10% of you. Now it's in last place, the least offensive, but it's also probably the least well known band out of that field. So I don't think they could brag too much, could they? All right. So now what I wanted to do next is let me check in and see what we've got going here. Nothing emergency happening. 77 of you watching. It's so good to have all of you here. And do hit that notification bell for tomorrow night's stream. Make sure that you if you're connected to the channel at all. That's the best way to get notified is be a subscriber, hit the notification bell, right? And that works just as well for my live streams. If you are uh, a watcher of my live streams and don't want to hear me open my mouth on my regular videos, that's fine. But you can still subscribe to the tribe by hitting that subscribe to the tribe button, tap that top bell icon, and you'll be notified of all my future videos, including my live stream. So it's wonderful to have you all here. A big shout out. 45 thumbs up. We have five more. This stream will get a bump up. If we can get 55 more, this stream will get two bump ups, and then the streams usually do well over 1,000. I've had a couple of my streams hit up 3 points, what 2,000, 4,000, and a slew of them hitting 2,000. All of them usually hitting about 1,000 views. All right, and this is a brand new stream. All right, I've been here what for a day and a half, right? So a big shout out to you viewers right now. All right, I've talked about this. I'm shouting out, oh, thank you for this, super thanks, which is wonderful. Oh, thank you for, joining the channel, which is great. But if you didn't view me, that none of that, there'd be nobody there to even give a super thanks, first of all. But if nobody's interested in what I'm saying, there's no point in doing this. And the stream has grown uh, quite a bit from the first early days of the stream. And I do appreciate it. You guys who watch these streams are the front line. Whether you type in, you're just out there lurking or not, you're supporting the channel. I always thank. And then the extra little bit that always helps is give me a thumbs up. Still won't cost you a dime, and that will launch the stream to a larger audience to rewatch, and everybody gets happy because you meet new friends and all of that, because that is what this stream is all about, which gets me to one of the comments on my poll. All right. And a very long time member to this channel, one of the earliest people I ever knew on YouTube that I still know, definitely. All right. It's by Helene Spalding. All right. tribal chieftain, but I didn't pick this. This could have been by Joe Schmo, and I would have picked this comment. So I'm not playing favors here, folks. This comment really hit me. I don't care who would have written it. Here's the comment, and this is based on part one of that poll. All right. I have a philosophical question for you, so bear with me. If you have an orchestra or dance company or a big band, Benny Goodman, for instance, if members left and new ones came in, would it still be that entity? In other words, for example, I'll tell you, Helene, I'm glad you mentioned Benny Goodman. You know, the Benny Goodman band for me was whatever Benny Goodman said it was. And I think everybody at the time knew this was a traveling. I mean, their inside fans all knew who it was and who was leaving or not. But the general fans that listened to Benny Goodman, they just heard Benny Goodman and in their minds probably saw, a band around him, but they pictured him, his face, his whole thing. And of course, when he didn't his plane get shot down in World War II? I think that's what happened. And when he's no longer there, and I don't even know, I was going to look this up, but I was running out of time. Otherwise, I'd be up, I would have been here 10 minutes later. But did that band still tour, even though it's the exact same band? Let's say it did. And that band just said, well, there's no Benny here, but we have engagements. People want to see us. And we'll just call it the Benny Goodman Band. And we'll have Frank, his music director, conducting, get a new horn player, right? Is that, I mean, with the exception of Benny not being there, that's the exact same band. That's got to be 9/10 of the band, right? So is that a place where we depart, or is that a place that we allow before rock and roll ever got here? She continues to say, at what point in an artistic entity do the individual members become key to the identity of the group? When it affects the sound, she asks. To me, in some bands, changing up the keyboardist wouldn't change the sound to my ears, assuming, of course, the new member played the songs as well. All right. In some bands, she continues, the bassist could be replaced. And in parentheses, she adds, and in some bands, they definitely could not. And I know exactly who you're talking about, Helene. All right. God rest John Paul Jones. And ditto for the drummer. What I'm saying is a rock band defined by the original members or by the sound of the music produced? Heck, look, and here's a good, I love people that at least have provocative arguments against what I believe, Heck, look at Toto. So many members, still the same great sound, right? And she has a couple more things here to say. I'm going to read it in a minute, but my response to Toto is, but Helene, Toto was pretty much created in the studio by studio musicians. I mean, it's like if you had the Wrecking Crew and Carol Kay got together with Hal Blaine, right? And Tommy Tedesco, and they started calling themselves the Wrecking Crew and all of that, right? Except that Toto did it. I'll give you another band that nobody ever thinks about being a studio band. That, of course, their key membership didn't change, but their writing team and key members and painters and artists around them would change, and it did affect their sound. How about the Canadian rock band Klaatu, right? The reason they got into hot water uh, because everybody thought they were claiming to be the Beatles was not their fault. They never claimed that. Their record company kind of put out those rumors, and at the get-go, they never wanted to be known by their names. They agreed. They only wanted to be known by the group name Clat 2. It doesn't matter who's writing the songs. It doesn't matter who's singing or playing bass. Later on, we found out it was John Woolishchuk, often on keyboards, but their primary bass player with Terry Draper on drums, sometimes song co-writer. Terry, to this day, still putting out amazing material. I've been listening to some of his new stuff. If you're watching Terry, I like it, especially a couple of songs got me going, right? But there's a band, so like Toto, Helene, only Toto got some notoriety and they were willing to, oh, let's take it out on the road and everything, right? And I'm not as big a Toto fan. I like their first 3 or 4 albums, that's it. And I never felt the need to go see them or anything, loved their stuff, but not one of my, like top of the line bands, but one of my favorites. They'd be in my top 200 bands, and there's like 500 rock bands I would imagine that I like-ish at least, right? So, but a good counter there, Helene. Then she says, to me, obviously, the vocalist plays a huge part in the identity of the band, and I agree with that. Absolutely. Although there are times when new vocalists have come and been a great addition. I'm thinking Deep Purple. Ian Gillan. When he finally got on, he wasn't even the original singer, but he was of the famous Mark II lineup. Then he's gone, and we get David Coverdale. Not only David Coverdale, but we get rid of Roger Glover, and we bring in what is his name, Glenn, the new bassist who could sing even better than David Coverdale, the new lead singer, right? So there are times, and they were writing songs. They took up the mantle immediately. They were writing lyrics. They were creating the music. They added as much uh, uh, to the band sound as was lost. Now, whether you thought it was a step in the right direction or the wrong direction, that's up to you. To me, those are my two favorite incarnations with a slight preference over Mark II. But I like Mark IV and Mark V just fine because once Tommy Bolin was in real quick, those are my favorite incarnations. Having said that, I love Hush. All right. So there you go. The lead guitar, she says, as well. To my ears, those are the sounds that stand out and would be missed, and especially true with a lead guitarist. Although, once again, there are exceptions to that rule where a band gets even a better lead guitarist, or they get a lead guitarist who is about the same, but they offer a different sound or a different approach. Probably less so with guitarists, to my memory, than to lead vocalists, but a really good point. In some bands, she continues, and I'll tie this up. In some bands, like the Beatles or Zeppelin, none could be replaced. And anybody who's been watching me for any amount of time knows I concur 135,000% with that statement. The lead, because we got to know the members as individuals. Good point. In Is that the difference? Okay, she asked the question. So because I think that is the difference, and that's what I really miss. See, the music drew me to my favorite bands in rock, but it was the personalities in the band that kept me there, right? And it was like when I was a kid collecting comic books. My favorite comic book, first of all, was Marvel. I wasn't into DC. When I was a young boy, Superman, Batman. Uh, got into Batman as an adult, actually, but and not just the movies, comics. It took a different direction there. But I was a Marvel fan, and I collected the Avengers, and they had this ever-changing lineup, right? And it would tear me apart when they would, don't take out Goliath, not Goliath, you know. And so with these rock bands, when you see a member departing, especially the bigger fan you are of a rock band, uh, it could be gut wrenching to me. And I think that's what's missing is an expectation from audiences these days. And I'm talking about concert going audiences, folks. All right. Because all of these people are making a living at this. All right. So, uh, in answer to your, is that the difference? I would say yes, Helene. That is the difference. It's not just the music. We want to know about our artists. You know, we're a fan of the people. I use the word all the time, keeping it real or to keep it organic. And the best way to keep a really good organic sound is to get usually the original members. Like I said, there are going to be exceptions to every rule, but the original members, the original energy, the original creative sparks from bouncing off of each other, right? And I think that's what's missing. So, anyway, she wraps this up with what does she have here? Three more sentences. When we know them as individuals, it changes everything. So, it becomes not about the sound, but about the members themselves. Sorry, this is how my brain works sometimes, but would love to know your thoughts on this, Michael. All right. And yeah, I'll tell you, I've noticed this with other, what would you call it, communiques with Helene. I think we both have a brain that thinks like this all the time. Otherwise, I wouldn't have anything to say on my channel, you know. So I don't know, you know, what it all means. It looks like I'm way behind here. There we go. Make sure I'm there. All right, we're back. So we're at about we've got a few more minutes here. I'm going to go ahead and turn my attention to some of the things that you've been saying. I'm going to be looking for specifically anybody that has anything to say about some of the things we're talking about on the channel tonight. TJR Classic Rock Corner. Genesis tried to carry on without Phil Collins, but America rejected it while Europe loved it. And yeah, you know, and that's the difference between audience and audience expectations. You know, Europeans have a totally different kind of blended lifestyle that is even more uh, distinct within their own countries. But there's almost that European um, uh, what demand or or excuse uh, of certain things. You know, what I would call a rock band ain't a rock band, I should say. People in Europe may say, "You don't know what you're bleeding talking about, you fool." You know, and it's the totality of the sound in general. Deuce is wild. Ben, it's also worth noting that an era the fan first got into. Good point. For some, the Dio era of Sabbath will be the best lineup of Sabbath for them and other examples. Right. And you know what? That's, oh man, I ran into that comment because I'm not a fan of the Dio era. I think Dio had a great voice. I just never got into it. And for me, Black Sabbath is you got to have Ozzy Osbourne. And I feel Black Sabbath is one of those iconic bands identified by our core membership, right? That I've mentioned before. So, but I do recognize that there are also other Black Sabbath fans that like all incarnations. They have their, you know, more favorite albums, their more favorite eras, right? And I'm not a Black Sabbath era fan. I like one era of Black Sabbath. So that's just me, folks. That's just my stupid opinion. You know, that doesn't carry any weight with the tribe. Right here, Deuce is bringing it straight out, you know. And I know that for a fact. I've read too many of your freaking comments, and I've responded to a whole lot of you over this very specific, you know, Dio debate, right? So, era, okay, is it the era of the rock concert going public that identifies what's legit or not? And what era is best represented by current concert goers. I mean, wouldn't that be the very young, late teens to what, 27, 28 years old, somewhere around there, you know, is your main focus? Uh, and yet they seem to be buying all of these bands, buying into all of these bands, being available to them, whether they're the real thing or not. That doesn't seem to be a big deal, or there is a lack of education and they are just ignorantly, and I don't mean that in a negative way. I mean, we are all ignorant at times, and especially groups of people can be very ignorant. And are they just ignorant of the band's history? I just found out, and I dug it up on my Facebook page, buried real deep, is a video that I shot at the Sonoma County Fair uh, pre-pandemic, and we were just going back home, going back to the hometown fair, and they had the Grassroots playing there, right? And the only member, I later went and did um, some research on it. The only member that was up there. Now, first of all, they were a smoking ass band. They didn't cost me crap to see them. I got to see them because they were part of the Redwood Theater's entertainment between what, 5 and 7, the Grassroots, right? It was part of the draw. You pay for that when you paid to get into the fair and paid for your parking and all of that. All of that paid for the band. They get hired, and it's good press for the Sonoma County Fair, right? And so you get the Grassroots. And the only problem is the only guy up there that was really even a Grassroots kind of guy was the guitar player. And he came in only as a replacement of the original members when they decided to tour yet again. And there were a couple of members left at that point, but he came in. Then they all dribbled out, they got replaced. And so this replacement guitarist has been touring with them ever since. He's not on any of the original recordings, right? And they tours the Grassroots, right? So I'm sitting there, and the one I did was, and I remember this because how many times have you heard groups and you go, "Is that the Grassroots, or is that song by who was it that I was saying the other Edison Lighthouse?" Because the video I've got of the Grassroots playing at the Sonoma County Fair, they're playing Love Grows, Where My Rosemary Goes, right? That's Edison Lighthouse. That's not the Grassroots, okay? And another time you can hear them singing, it's me, uh, it's you and me and you, no matter what, right? The Turtles, happy together, right? And they're singing that. Sounds just like the freaking record, you know? So, and because the Grassroots only have maybe 4, maybe 5 songs, but certainly 3 big ones, and maybe another 2 that anybody even recognize. That ain't a whole show. And it don't matter what other material was on their original albums. 90% of the people that made those songs number ones were probably 45 buyers, right? Singles buyers. Now, I'm sure the albums did okay and everything like that. But over the years, and especially with the advent of listening to music uh, online, right? Whatever, through a music service, streaming service, it's just so much easier to listen. I mean, at the probably the deepest Grassroots album you're going to listen to is the Grassroots Greatest Hits. If there is a Grassroots Greatest Hits, I'm sure there is, right? And even that album will have them doing other people's hits because they're not really doing it. Okay. So it just kind of gets down to that. So, what do you guys think about this? And before we sign off tonight, I want to get, and tomorrow night I'm going to get, see, there won't be any time limit tomorrow night. And I will be able to spend a lot more time talking here in the peanut gallery because I really do appreciate all that you guys have to comment. Novus, Nick, I hope you're going to be on tonight, Novus. Uh, these bands without their minority membership is not much more than a good night out, but overpriced. I guarantee you that. I even bring that up. What's the difference between Foreigner and uh, I even made up a fictional tribute band's name and Foreigner's Ghost, who works in New York City. That's their primary audience, right? They're hitting all the hottest clubs and everything. What's the difference between them and the Foreigner that gets to tour under Foreigner's name? And I identified it immediately. It's the pocketbook of those musicians, right? Because neither one of them really, in my eyes, can claim to be Foreigner, even with Lou Graham being one of the four singers I identified, by the way. He's only doing, although, man, what a send off, and he is sounding good. I think he sounded better than Luis Maldonado did. But I've also heard him not sound good. And oh, since my video, boom, for those of you who have stood to this moment, you're going to be glad you did. There's been an announcement. Okay, see, so when I did my last video, you guys go watch that after this or after Royce's, right? If you haven't seen it, just add this tidbit to that whole video, and then that video will start making sense to you. Lou Graham, at the time of that video, I was saying how he's kind of filling in a bit down in South America, even though Luis Maldonado's doing the whole gig because Kelly Hansen can't go out of the country, and I talk about why that could possibly be. I don't go too far with that, but anyway, at the time of that video, this is it. This is Soyanara. I just saw that. I'm going to get right to you, Michael. Thank you so much. This is Soyanara for Lou Graham. As a matter of fact, he was kind of extending his final shows and everything to play these final shows with Foreigner. Guess what? He just announced that he'll be doing these kinds of shows with Foreigner through 2027. Okay? So, and he's the only one because Mick Jones is too ill to even join occasionally now. He's the only one with any pedigree, and he's only doing 4 songs in the whole show. Is that Foreigner to you? I mean, I'm a Lou Graham fan, more so than I am a Mick Jones fan, actually. And I kind of have taken his side of the story, although neither one of them are totally innocent. Uh, and I'm glad he's getting a send off. All right, but at what cost? They go south of the border. It's Luis Maldonado and Lou Graham. They get back to the States. That's the next group of concerts they're going to play. That's Kelly Hansen. Now, maybe with Lou Graham, I'm not sure. We'll see. Nothing's been announced that I'm aware of. I haven't been on the news today, so if you guys know something beyond that, let me know. All right. And then they're going to go up to Canada, where I kept calling him Georgie. I only called him Geordie once on that video, but it was too late, had to go with it. But Geordie Brown, who Mick Jones discovered at a Broadway type of tribute show that he was the star of. And so he'll be handling the Canadian dates. That's 4 singers. All right. And only one of them has any pedigree, and the rest of the band has none. All right. The rest of the musicians have no pedigree whatsoever. And that's why Foreigner is absolutely kicking the ass out of its contenders in my poll. All right. All right, folks, it is 6 o'clock. First of all, thank you so much for tuning in. tomorrow night's going to be a gangbuster because I've got a ton of notes here, and this will give me an additional 24 hours to put them together, and we'll just sink into this like a tornado. I want to thank all of you who have participated by watching the stream, by giving me a thumbs up. We're up to 72, so we got that first bump. We're only what 28 away from getting a second bump, and that power all is in your hands, right? So the biggest two lines uh, of the tribe, the tribal army is the viewers and those who give us thumbs up, and then of course those who go the extra distance, either joining the channel. I hope all of you got a chance to get that free membership. Ben, thank you so much, and I'll try to make sure the content is worthy of their free membership, brother. All right. But you've seen it, and evidently you have some faith in it, and I appreciate it. And of course, every single super thanks out tonight. Watch for your shout outs in my next regular pre recorded video. All right. So that about wraps it up for tonight's stream. Like I said, Sunday nights, I either have to tackle smaller feats or make them part ones, and going over this as I was getting ready, it's going, man, I'm going to have to do another stream. And I didn't want to lose the momentum, but you guys paid for another stream, so I'm going to do that and then hold off my next video shoot for a day because of that. Otherwise, I would have done my video shoot first, do the editing, respond to the comments, and then have gotten to this part two, probably no earlier than Wednesday, maybe Thursday. Who knows? Friday. It depends what happens with the videos. So I am a one-man shop. When you tune in here, you see my videos, how they're edited. That's me, right? I did this kind of thing. I write my own dialogue in my head. I take my own notes. I do my own research. And of course, my own personal experience as a musician, a songwriter, right? Recording engineer, and sons, anybody else producer, right? Of my own music. And just like every one of you, otherwise you wouldn't be here. Just a damn generalized music fan. Originally about 12 years old when I really got, actually 9 years old. 9 years old, the Beatles came out. And for some reason, I was more excited about Gary Lewis and the Playboys when the Beatles first came out. I was aware, but all the girls, ooh, scream, right? Here I am at 9 years old, fourth grade, and the only song to me that was like breaking my heart was "This Diamond Ring," by Gary Lewis and the Playboys, man. So right around that time, pop rock started taking apart my life one way or another. And here I am at 70 years old. What is that? 61 years later, a 61-year-old rock fan, living it, man, living it, adoring it, just like you guys. And in part two, we're going to talk about exactly what makes them. We're going to take apart which of these bands have a right or should have a right or a moral right. See? Oh, wait till I put this together. And in other words, which of these should be given a pass? And hey, man, let them tour for the following reasons, and which should be shut down like yesterday, right? Okay, so after this, I'm going to take a short break because it's 6:04 now. That means from this moment, in 25 and a half minutes, I've got to be on Royce because his stream starts. We're going to be talking about Steppenwolf, folks, and a couple of the members of the Peanut Gallery are going to probably be up there. I didn't see anything from Chris Elliott, but I didn't get into the comments. Chris, if you're out there, I'm sorry I missed you. I know Nick is out there. Royce was out there. Thanks for supporting me. And I would imagine if he's at all able to be here, there's so many of them. Dawson will be on tonight too. And if you're here tonight, Dawson, thanks for supporting me. All right, folks, we're going to wrap it up tomorrow night, part two. The Dead Ringers of Rock. I'll add a little bit of extra there and you'll see where I'm coming from. All right, hope to see you over on Royce at 6:30. That's about a half an hour from now, about 25 minutes from now, and we'll be live. So that's 6:30 West Coast. So, if you're East Coast, what is that? 9:30, right? So we'll be on in about 25 minutes. So I'm going to shut this down and get my hair ready, Mr. DeMille, and I'll be up on Royce's panel. A big shout out to each and every one of you for making this stream happen. All right. We'll talk to you tomorrow night, folks. Night.